Hi everyone. So this is my project review video. Hi Dr. Bangu, hi everyone of my classmates. I hope you guys are doing all right today. And let me get started. So my project, I had two components of my project. I have this one project write-up that I did, which is a little lengthy, so I might not get to every single part of this write-up just for the sake of making this video short and concise. And I have my Excel file with my graphs, and this is the thing I'm probably going to focus on a little bit more, but nevertheless, I will go over the write-up a little bit right now as quick as possible. So before I get started, I would like to say I calculated monthly amounts are found for years 1 through 8, and all calculations are done with monthly compounding interest rates. So I calculated years 1 through 8, meaning the first year is first year through the third year is the 3 years before college, and then the fourth year and the fifth year I go to graduate school, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th year are after graduate school. So the objective of this project was to learn how to analyze one's finances after college and calculate how much I save each year per month, how much my savings accumulate, and as well as determine my loan and mortgage payments. And I must analyze the results of 3 different types of mortgage payments and determine which mortgage plan is best for my situation. So that's what the objective is, and this project definitely helped me a lot. Just like Don said, I will use like these principles and this type of thinking after I graduate school to help me better my finances and better take care of my savings. The intro is just the prompt we're given, so I'm not going to go over that for the sake of saving time. I also did a literature search, and I found 2 excellent studies highlighted in 2 separate pieces of literature, which are related to the topics of college loan and mortgage payments. Such studies are not one of kind, and they're repetitious. Sorry, I can't pronounce that word. Repetitious, meaning more people do calculations for these topics of mortgage, not just these 2 authors. So Daniel Mendelssohn's Buy Student Loan Debt, Learn How to Empower Yourself by Limiting Your Student Loans is a book that outlines principles on how to pay off college loan debt. Mendelssohn highlights the principles that he and his wife used to pay off nearly $150,000 of student loan debt in only 5 years. Similarly, Natalie and Clayton Morris's How to Pay Off Your Mortgage in 5 Years / Your Mortgage with a Proven System That the Banks Don't Want You to Know About is a book that details important strategies on how to minimize interest on your home loan. Both Mendelssohn and the Morris couple highlight how paying larger amounts earlier on and paying more frequently minimize interest and help save money. So, like I said, I have a model here. I have 2 types of tables here now. One is a formula table, and then one is the numbers table. So table of summarized solutions. So this table has the numbers for each year, like the monthly salary, the monthly mortgage payment. And then this table above here has how I got those numbers, like the formulas I used to calculate. So for annual salary, it was $50,000 the first year, and then it appreciated by 4% each subsequent year. For monthly income, it was just the annual salary divided by 12. For monthly taxes, it was the monthly income times 0.2. And for monthly mortgage, for this scenario, I chose the monthly mortgage. I chose the mortgage for 30 years, and I'll explain why a little bit later on. But using the 30-year mortgage, I used the A equals P of formula, the Uniform Series Capital Recovery Factor formula, which is under monthly mortgage right here, and I used the rate of 7% divided by 12, since the yearly rate was 12, so therefore the monthly rate is 7% divided by 12, and the amount is $150,000 given. And then for N, I used 12 times 30, which is 360, since there's 360 months in 30 years. The monthly reserve account payment was always constantly $250. and the monthly expenses was $650, and it appreciated by 4% each year, just like the salary. And then these calculations were a little bit more complicated. So for the 5% bank loan, the balance at the end of the year was just all of the expenses I couldn't cover. So not only did I use the 5% bank loan to cover the money I couldn't pay for graduate school with, but also the necessities and that I couldn't cover during my time in graduate school, since I said during graduate school I wasn't earning a salary, so therefore I needed the bank loan to cover expenses and to cover my graduate school tuition. And then after that, it ended up being in around $40,000, $40,686 in total. So once again, using A equals P, the Uniform Series Capital Recovery Factor formula, I used the 5% divided by 12 for the interest rate, since that's the yearly rate is 5%, so the monthly rate would be 5% divided by 12. Principal is $40,686, and I wanted to, as given by the directions, want to pay it off in the 3 years after graduate school, and it doesn't start accumulating interest until after graduate school, so you don't have to do any further calculations. So 3 years is equal to 36 months, so I used 36 for N, and I found that the amount for each month for those 3 years, for the 36 months after graduate school, is $1,219.40. The total monthly savings is pretty easy to calculate. You just do all of the expenses and you subtract all of the expenses from all of your monthly income. And then the graduate school fund monthly payment is 30% of the monthly savings I have after paying everything else. The retirement funds account monthly payment is 40% of my savings after paying everything else, and the emergency savings account was 30% of my savings after paying all my expenses. And now the amount in the graduate school account and all of these accounts was a little more complicated to calculate, but not too bad either. Yeah, once you understand, Dr. Bengu taught me well, so I wasn't too worried about that one. So for these, what you did is you multiply, for the first year, I multiplied the amount I put in each month by, I take that back. What I did was I used the amount in graduate school fund at the end of the year is calculated through the sum of the previous year's balance minus the money taken from the balance, which is only for the 2 years I'm in graduate school, and then times 1 plus 4% divided by 12 to the power of 12, since it's a 4% yearly rate and it's 12 months. So in year 4, the balance is used to pay 2 $7,500 tuition payments. So the balance, you subtract $7,500, you multiply by the interest rate that accumulates during those 6 months, and then you do the same thing. You subtract $7,500 and you multiply by the interest rate for the 6 months, and you find that it goes to $2,916.54. But I didn't explain that too well. I apologize. Do you mind if I just start over to explain that, just for the sake of not recording this video again? So what you do to calculate the amount in a graduate school fund account is you see how much the principal from the previous year appreciates during that year, and you use the monthly rate. So the yearly rate is 4%, so the monthly rate would be 4% divided by 12, and you use that, and you use the regular formula 1 plus I to the power of n to find how much the principal from the year before grew. And then what you do is you add the appreciated amount that you added for that year as well. Not only the previous year's appreciation, but you use you also use the uniform series compound interest formula, F equals A times 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 all over I, to find how much you added that year, as well as taking how much it appreciated that year through those payments as well. But hopefully I can explain this a little bit better later on. I'm just going to move on for the sake of video, but I will explain it better later on. So I'm actually going to move to my Excel sheet now and then come back to this write-up. So as we talked about before, the annual salary is just 4% of the previous year, starting out at 50%. And then you divide by 12 for the monthly salary. You multiply by 0.2 for the monthly taxes. You multiply the monthly salary by 0.2 because we're in the 20% income bracket. And then the reserve account's always 250. Necessity starts off at 650 and appreciates by 4%. 104. It appreciates by 4% each year, so it's 1.04 of the previous year. And then the monthly mortgage is always $998, as shown before. Now the monthly savings we talked about, and the monthly input into the accounts we also talked about. And let me better explain this 5% bank loan. So now we had actually I explained that before already, so I'm not going to get into that. But you just use the uniform series capital recovery factor, A equals P, with the principal being the $40,000 that we had to use, $40,686. And then we get a monthly payment of $1,219.4 each month for those 36 months. Okay, and now I am going to explain these graphs, which this is my favorite part of the project I think I made, because I think it's better to visualize. So this is for the 8 years I just talked about, this is the blue is a monthly salary. See how it decreases in year 4 or 5, it's 0, and then year 6 it starts off near 50,000 again, because that's 10%, a 4% increase of what it was for year 3. And then the monthly savings, it's actually negative in year 4 or 5 because we don't have enough money in our graduate school account or emergency funds account to pay for the expenses and the graduate school tuition. So we have to go into negative, and we actually must use the bank loan. We break even here by using the bank loan. Here is another graph. It's the monthly taxes. The monthly taxes also shoots down because you can't pay taxes if you don't make any you can't pay taxes on your income if you don't make any, if your income is 0. And then the monthly mortgage is always $997. It doesn't change. The monthly reserve account payment is always $250. Doesn't change. Monthly necessity grows a little bit because it does grow by a little percentage each year. And the 5% bank loan, as shown, it grows a lot. From the 5th year, it's 0 because you don't have to take a loan. And then the 6th year, it becomes the payment, you start paying it in the 6th year, as shown here. So and this is the monthly input into the graduate school account, emergency fund account, and monthly input into retirement funds account. So it makes sense. It goes up here because you're putting money in, but then you see that the 4th and 5th year, it's 0 for everything because you can't cover all your expenses. So you're not going to put anything into your accounts if you can't cover your other expenses. And then once you graduate, and you start having some savings again, then you start over here, you can see that you start being able to input more money. And this shows the growth of each of those accounts. As you can see, it's varies, it doesn't ever decrease for the retirement funds account because you never touch it. But then the emergency and graduate school account, year 4, you have to use it and it decreases here. But then after you graduate and you start having savings again, you can put more money into it so it grows a little bit. But I also like to mention I use the emergency savings account to cover the money that I couldn't cover for my expenses. I used an emergency savings account, and then once that was done, I just added it to the bank loan again. Okay, and now comparing mortgages A, B, and C. So these were the mortgages given, but Dr. Bengu wanted me to compare these 3 mortgages more side by side, which I think I do here. So the first option, option A, is taking a 30-year mortgage on a bank loan of 7% per year with a $150,000 principal. And therefore, if you calculate the monthly, you need to use the monthly interest rate, which is 7% divided by 12. And as you can see, once for the 30-year, the payments are $997.95. And then for the, if you increase the mortgage payment to 120% of what it is, so you multiply $997 times 1.2, you get $1,197 per payment, which if you do that, then using the P equals A uniform series present worth factor formula, you can find that the mortgage only lasts 18.78 years. And then for option C, you double the original scheduled payment. So you double $997.95. So your payment is $1,995.91, which if you also again use the P equals A formula, which is the uniform series present worth factor formula, then you this would allow you to pay the mortgage in 8.27 years. So also for all of these formulas, P is always $150,000, I is 7% per year or 7% divided by 12 per month, and N varies as we've shown. And the interest for all of these 3 options varies. The total interest varies a lot because of the different lengths of these mortgages. So the total interest paid for option A is $208,388, and the total interest paid for B is only $120,087, and for option C, it's only $47,986. So obviously, option C, you save a lot of money on interest. $150,000 worth about, so that's a lot. And as you can see, here is a graph that shows the total amount owed. So as you can see, the option C is able to be paid off all because the total amount owed is 0 in 100 months about. And then for option B, it takes around 222 months, and for option 3, 360 months. So option B is 225 months. But as you can see that this is the different lifespans of the mortgages for option, this is option A, this is option B, and this is option C. Option C is obviously the quickest because you're paying more. And then this is another graph. It's a little more complicated. I don't like this one as much. I don't know if I should have made it because it's a little confusing, but it pretty much just shows the interest owed for that month and for each one, and the total end of month payment for each. So you can see that for options A, the principal payment, for options A, you can see the interest owed is more. And then for option C, the interest becomes lower. And then this is a comparison of the total interest and total amount paid for the mortgages. And as you can see, for option A, the total interest is a lot. You can see how the different interest varies by the different options. Okay, and this is just I also did the calculations for each month for each of the three options. So this is for the original option A, which you can see that here, this is the lifespan of the mortgage per month, and the amount here, this is the amount owed still. And then once it reaches zero, the mortgage is over. And then this is the principal payment. You can see that the principal payment increases as the months go on. At first, you're really only paying, as Dr. Bengu actually mentioned, you're only paying really interest. So the total payment stays the same, obviously. And as you can see, when you go down to 360 months, you're paying $997, and the amount owed is $997. So, and I did the same for B. You can also see a lifespan, how it decreases, and you can see that once again, the interest is mostly paid in the beginning, and at the end you pay more of the principal. And of course, the total end of month payment is always the same. And as you can see, the last option, you're paying $1197 and you owe $639, so you're going to finish a little bit less than 226 years. But as you can see, for the 225th month, you owe more than $1197. You owe $1833. Finally, for option C, I also did the same thing. You can see the lifespan, and once again, as Dr. Bengu told us, the interest is higher during the beginning and you pay less of the principal in the beginning. But then as the months go on, towards the end of the mortgage, you pay more of the principal and less interest. And as you can see, the last payment, you're able to pay a lot more than what's owed. So it's a little bit less than 100 months. As the 99th month, you can't pay all of the $2,385 owed. And now I'm going to just talk about quickly the how I applied this to my own situation. So I was lucky enough to not have to pay much for school for undergraduate, but I am planning to go to graduate school, and this is my, what's the word? I'm sorry. This is my personal application of the project. I forget, enhancement, sorry, that's the word. And this enhancement, what I did was I saved around $20,000, to be honest with you guys, which I know it's a lot of money. I'm really proud of it. I worked the last few summers, saved up money from different birthdays, communion I had, and saved that money. And also that was around $5,000, maybe a little bit more. And then I also worked the last 3 summers throughout the whole summer. So I made a few grand each summer. And my parents also put a few $1,000s in my bank account, which I'm so grateful for. That's a lot more than a lot of people have, so I'm very grateful for that. Obviously, money isn't everything, but I am grateful for that money. But anyways, so I have $20,000 in my bank account right now. So I want to, by the time I graduate in May of 2023, by September of 2023, I want to go to graduate school right after I graduate. So I want to have $50,000 for graduate school. So I need 30 more grand, at least in that, in future value worth. So I did a little cash flow diagram and a cash flow chart here, table, and I have 20,000 right now. And then so pretty much what I did is I'm going to work for 9 months, the next 3 summers, and what do I have to earn each month to be able to have that $50,000 at September of 2023. So what I did was, first of all, I put my $20,000 right now into future value, which is I get half of a percent or 0.05% from my bank. So in terms of writing that, it's 1.0005 if you add that to 1. And I put the $20,000 in future value, so that's $20,332.65. And then for each of these, I originally just wrote it out as a variable x. And what I did was I used the uniform compound interest formula, F equals A times 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 all over I, to make them into the present worth of the last one. So what I realized is if each of these is x, then the last one becomes 3.0015x. And then what I did is I used the F equals P times 1 plus I to the power of n future value to find the future value of each of these x's. And I added all of them. So I found the future value of each of these. So this was 3.0015x, this was 3.0015x, and over here was 3.0015x. And what I did was I added them. I found the future value of those 3.0015x, and I found them to be these values. And then I was able to add them to the future value of the $20,000 to find what x must be. And I found that I have to earn $3,274.98 each of the 9 months I work. So say I work this upcoming summer for 3 months, which I'm planning to do. I have to earn $3,000 each month, which I don't know if I can do. That's a lot of money. So hopefully I can earn maybe $1,500 a month or $2,000 at most. But so I would definitely have to see. Maybe I'll have to work during the year to accumulate that $50,000. But if I want that $50,000, I have to make $3,274 each of the 9 months for the next 3 summers, which is really awesome that I was able to calculate that. Not that I'm boosting myself up, but it's awesome that I'm able to have this knowledge now. Not trying to brag or anything that I was able to calculate that. I'm sure everyone in IE 334 Dr. Banger's class is able to do this. But anyways, let me get back to the write-up now. So as I was talking about before, I just wrote out more in detail for each year how I calculate all these values, but I'm not going to get into that because it's very long, and I want to keep this video short. It's already a long video. It's over 25 minutes already, so I'm going to try ending it soon. But in terms of what's after this is I did a little more of a summary of my solution methods, which I think I'm going to just say real quick, or at least a part about the graduate school fund balances, because I didn't explain that well before. So yeah, this is just a written explanation of how I calculated these. Okay, so this is kind of how I calculated them. So 30%, 0.03 of my monthly savings go into my 4% graduate school fund, 40%, 0.4 go into my 6% retirement funds account, and 30%, 0.3 go into my 2% emergency funds account, savings account. To calculate how much money is in each of these 3 accounts by the end of a certain year, I use both the compound interest formula and uniform series compound amount factor, F equals A times 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 divided by I, with I equals I annual divided by 12. N equals 12, and A equals the amount in the specific fund per year. My uniform series compound amount factor of the 4% graduate school account is 12.22. So that's the ratio, per se, like that I need to multiply by to find the present worth. And 6% retirement funds account is 12.33, and 2% emergency savings account is 12.11. For any given year, I multiply the monthly input into a fund by that fund's uniform series compound amount factor and add it to the previous year's fund balance appreciated. And I appreciate the previous year's balance by doing the previous year times 1 plus I divided by 12 to the power of n, and which is 0 for year 1 since it didn't accumulate. And during year 4 and 5, I do not have any savings, and so such accounts are simply calculated by a previous year's fund balance appreciated. During years 4 and 5, I am a full-time student and do not have a salary. I therefore pay for my expenses with the money in my emergency savings account, pay for my graduate school tuition with my graduate school fund account, and use a 5% bank loan, which doesn't start charging interest until the beginning of year 6, once those accounts are fully used. Graduate school costs $15,000 per year and $7,500 per semester, since my company pays for $10,000 of the $25,000 each year. In year 4, I use the uniform series present worth factor P equals A times 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 divided by 1I times 1 plus I to the power of n, with A equals the monthly expenses, I equals monthly interest rate of fund, and n equals month. To find how many months in my emergency savings account can be used to cover monthly expenses, with n equals 8 plus $1,435 of the 9th month. So pretty much what I'm saying here is that I use that formula to see how many months I can pay for with my account, and then the leftover that I don't have any more money in the account to pay for these expenses, then I have to add that to my balance of my 5% bank loan. As I can see, and I just say it right here, the remaining expenses for the year must be added to a 5% bank loan. In year 4, I also used $15,000 in my graduate school fund account to pay for tuition. Since I pay for tuition in January and July, I calculate how much my graduate school fund account is to pay for tuition. Since I pay for tuition in January and July, I calculate how much is left in my graduate school fund account by subtracting $7,500 from the account, then using the compound interest formula, P amount in the account times 1 plus I times 8 of the annual account interest rate divided by 12 to the power of 6. So what I'm trying to say here is during that 4th year, I pay for my $7,500 of tuition in January. Then I have to calculate how much, since I still have a little bit left over in my graduate school account, I have to calculate how much it appreciates over those 6 months until I pay for my June semester in June. So what I do is I use the annual account interest rate divided by 12 to get the monthly interest rate. So I think it's 4% divided by 12. And then I raise that to the power of 6 to find out how much it is after 6 months of appreciation. And then in year 5, I simply add the total monthly savings multiplied by 12 to the 5% bank loan balance, since I used the loan to pay for the year's entire expenses. I also add $12,083 to the 5% bank loan, since I can only use the remaining $2,916.54 of the graduate school savings account to pay for that year's tuition. I know that I want to pay $40,686 of the 5% bank loan over a period of 3 years or 36 months. Thus, I used the uniform series capital recovery factor equation, which I was explaining earlier, to calculate monthly payments and then finally in years 6, 7, and 8, I'm able to pay for all my monthly expenses, monthly mortgage payments, and my monthly 5% bank loan payments, and still have a little money left over to put into the former graduate school fund account, which, because I already finished graduate school, retirement funds account, and emergency savings account. At the end of year 5, my 5% bank loan is fully paid off, and I've already accumulated $6,965 in my former graduate school account, $42,000 in my retirement funds account, and $6,780 in my emergency savings account. It is important to note that I never took money out of my retirement funds account throughout the 8 years, and I didn't add to it during year 4 or 5, but it's still appreciated due to interest. So I'm sorry for just reading off of that. I was redoing these videos for hours at this point, so I keep messing up my explanations, so it'd just be easier to read off what I wrote about it. But now I'd just like to quickly go over the results and analysis part before I finish up, because I know I'm over time, so I apologize, Dr. Bengu, and whoever's watching this, I also apologize, because I know I have been, making this video for a while at this point. So my results and analysis. Should I read my results and analysis? I think so. So during my first 3 years, my income exceeds my expenses and I'm able to save up. By the end of year 3, I have accumulated $17,000 in my graduate school account, $24,000 in my retirement fund account, and $17,000 in my emergency savings account. During year 4 and 5, I am a full-time graduate student and do not have a salary. I therefore must pay for my expenses with the money in my emergency savings account, pay for my graduate school tuition with my graduate school fund account, and use a 5% bank loan, which doesn't start charging interest until the beginning of year 6, once those accounts are fully used. By the end of year 5, my bank loan balance has accumulated to $40,000, and I pay it over 3 years. I'm subject to $1,219 monthly payments. During years 6, 7, and 8, I'm able to pay all my expenses, including the mortgage and loan payments, while saving a small sum of money. By the end of year 8, my 5% bank loan is fully paid, and I have $42,000 in my retirement funds account. Cha-ching. And in analyzing my financial journey, I realized that the amount of interest I pay on my 5% bank loan can be lowered by lowering the loan's balance through accumulating my money in my graduate school fund account and emergency savings accounts. More money in those accounts. This can be done in 2 main ways. So I can minimize the money on the bank loan by either putting off graduate school a few more years so I accumulate more money, or I can putting a smaller percentage of savings into my retirement fund and putting more into the graduate school and emergency savings accounts. So this way I save more money for graduate school tuition and expenses once I am in graduate school, and as a result, I have a smaller balance for my 5% bank loan. In terms of the mortgage, I should not increase. I chose the best mortgage for me would just be to do the 30-year mortgage, at least, and then I only pay $997 per month, and I can always, I will simply save less to put in. If I do a higher mortgage, then I would save less to put in my graduate school account and my emergency account, and therefore I would have a higher bank loan and have more interest on that. So what I decided is I can increase my monthly mortgage payments after I'm done with the graduate school. There's no rule, at least from what my dad told me, there's no rule that's saying I can't pay larger payments even with a longer mortgage. So even though I only owe $997 per month with the 30-year mortgage, there's no rule saying I can't input $1,500 per month to pay it off quicker. And here's my comparison of the mortgages as I showed before. Yes, the 30-year mortgage is $997. Option B, raising mortgage payments by 120%, is it lasts for 18 years, and then doubling monthly payments would be would last the mortgage for 8.26 years. And then also, as I talked about before, the 30-year mortgage has a total payment of $359,000, so about over $200,000 in interest. The option B, increasing payments by 20%, has around $269,000 of total payment, which is around $119,000 of interest. And the third option, doubling monthly payments, has $198,000 total payment, which is around only $48,000 interest. But over here, I also added this. Below is Dr. Bendigo's suggestion for improvement by calculating monthly payment, total payment, and total interest of separate personalized mortgages. and I calculated monthly payment, total payment, and total interest for a 20-year, 15-year, and 10-year mortgage with a balance of $150,000 and a 7% yearly rate, or or 0.5833% monthly rate. So with the 20-year, I've used A equals P times the uniform series capital recovery factor formula, and with that, I found that the total amount paid would be $279,000, and therefore the interest would be $129,000. With a 15-year mortgage, the total amount paid would be, I forgot to mention, with the 20-year mortgage, the monthly payment would be $1,162. For the 15-year mortgage, the monthly payment would be $1,347 and a interest of $92,000. And with a 10-year mortgage, it would be $1,741 monthly payments with an total interest paid of $58,958. To calculate all of these, I used A equals P times I times 1 plus I to the power of n, all divided by 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1, which is the, like I say, uniform series capital recovery factor formula. And the principal is still $150,000, but the rate is, like I said, 0.58 monthly, and n is in months. That's important. So in conclusion, I believe my best financial route would be to take a 30-year mortgage and put all my savings in my graduate school fund account and emergency savings accounts during year 1, 2, and 3. By doing so, I minimize monthly mortgage payments and maximize the amount in these two accounts so that I can have more money to pay off my graduate school tuition and monthly expenses during graduate school. As a result, I minimize the principal of my 5% bank loan to be paid after school, allowing the loan to be paid off quicker and total interest to be minimized. I can get rid of the need to use a 5% bank loan and thus make interest zero by pushing off graduate school several years until my graduate school fund account and emergency savings account have enough money in them to pay for $30,000 in my graduate school tuition, as well as my monthly expenses for my 24 months in graduate school. After I finish graduate school, my first priority should be paying off my 5% bank loan as much as possible with my savings so I minimize the total interest I need to pay on it. Although my 5% bank loan requires $1,219 monthly payments, I can certainly pay more than $1,219 by taking from my monthly savings to pay off the loan in a shorter period than 3 years. After I finish paying the 5% bank loan, my next priority should be paying off my mortgage as much as possible with my savings to minimize the total interest of my mortgage. Although I have a 30-year mortgage with $998 monthly payments, I can also pay more than $997.95 by taking from my monthly savings to pay off the mortgage in a shorter period than 30 years. Because the mortgage is so large, this will be a lengthy endeavor, and so during it, I can also put a good portion of my savings into emergency savings and retirement funds account, especially as there will be no need to put 30% of my savings into a graduate school fund account after graduate school. I wouldn't need that account anymore, unless I could start an account for something else. And like I talked about in my Excel sheet, this is the enhancement, my personalized application to it, and I can apply these principles to my specific case. In college, I'm lucky enough to receive a scholarship, so I don't have to pay for undergraduate tuition. However, I would want to pay $50,000. I want to have $50,000 by the time I start graduate school in September of 2023, and I'm currently a sophomore, and therefore I'm lucky to have close to $20,000 in my bank account from working, doing yard work and working a job at Gelati's ice cream shop for the last 3 summers. And I saved up, and so now if I work each 3 months for each of these 3 summers, and what will I have to earn each month if the bank offers me 0.05% interest compounded monthly. And I explained this earlier, but I just wrote X for each of these because I'm trying to find out the equal amount. And I brought all of these to a certain value for the last value here to make it using the uniform series compound interest. And then I took all of these amounts, including the $20,000 here and the the equivalent uniform series right here. I brought them all to the future value right here, and I saw what they need to equal to make them equal to $50,000, which I explain in more detail over here. Therefore, I must earn $3,274 for each of the 9 months. For each month of the 9 months I work for those 3 summers. Assuming I make $15 an hour, which I don't think I'll make that much, only if I get promoted, I must work 219 hours per month, which is a lot, considering a big work week would be around 50 hours per week. And I also want to just quickly talk about a future study I recommended. One area that I wished I could study but couldn't due to limitations would be how small businesses manage their finances. Specifically, I was interested in learning about how small businesses save their money, and do most of them save their monetary savings in a bank account, invest in inventory, or invest it elsewhere to grow faster? Do they know all these important principles of economics that I learned in this class? General principles on how small businesses should manage their money is available on the web, of course. However, this information is general and cannot give me a true understanding of the thought process of small business owners go through. The only way which I can truly understand the monetary decisions of small businesses would be to experience them firsthand by working them, which I'm limited from doing currently because of the pandemic, and possibly in the future due to a small business owner's unwillingness to share information. At Gelatin's Ice Cream, I was just, I'm just a scooper, so I'm looking to be in a management position where I would learn more about the finances, but I haven't gotten there yet. And therefore, next year after a pandemic, I would love to apprentice several different small business owners and observe how they make financial decisions using the economic principles learned in this class. And I can use my knowledge of how money appreciates in different ways, which I gained in IE 334, to ask questions and better understand the thought process. And finally, to end this very, very long video, which I wish I made shorter, so I apologize, but I just wanted to include everything because I did work on this project for a very long time, so I want to include all the work I did. The 2 appended articles I found were Buy Student Loan Debts, Say Bye to Your Student Loans, and Clayton Morris's How to Pay Off Your House Within 5 Years Using These Awesome Ninja Tricks. And as suggested by his title, the Say Bye to Your Student Loans article is about Daniel Mendelssohn's simple 5-step process to pay off student loans, and his book, which outlines how to do so. Mendelssohn's wife had over $150,000 in loan, but were able to eliminate it in 5 years. And Mendelssohn urges individuals to constantly pay as much as their loan as possible, especially earlier on. And he emphasizes that people in debt should only spend on necessary items and save as much money as possible through sacrifices, which certainly makes sense, is good advice. And then Morris's book is an extremely how to pay off your house within 5 years using these awesome ninja tricks. It's an extremely informative article, and he emphasizes how critical it is for individuals in debt to know the importance of interest, as interest is much higher earlier on and is thus critical to minimize earlier on, which I was able to show through those graphs. You could see that the interest is much higher earlier on. Clayton advertises the book that he and his wife, Natalie Morris, wrote, entitled How to Pay Off Your Mortgage in 5 Years. Clayton Morris also advises readers that they can get a home equity line of credit on their primary residences to drastically reduce mortgage interest, which gets into a whole nother subject. And finally, I have my works cited for my bibliography for my 2 books, my literature search, and my 2 articles, as well as the textbook I used for the class textbook, Newman, Donald G. Engineering Economics, 12th edition. So that's my project. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Dr. Bengu. If you made it this far, then I really appreciate you watching me for 50 minutes. But I'm sorry if I wasn't too clear in certain parts in explaining this video. I'm not the best at explaining things, even though sometimes I even know stuff, but I just can't explain it that well. But hopefully you can see that I wrote the explanations better in words and in the formulas, so you can know that I understand it, even though I haven't explained it that amazing during this video. But thank you for watching, as I said, and have a great break if I don't speak to you, which I will see you in class, so I don't know why I'm saying that. But just be safe, continue being safe, continue being healthy, and thanks. See you.